Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast, where we throw out the old blueprint so you can become who you were always meant to be. I'm your host, Jason Smith, and if you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button and share this podcast with your friends on social media and tag me in it at JBirdFib. Today, I have a very special guest for you, J.R. Harvey of King's Community. J.R. is a men's mentor and founder of the King's Community, a fast-growing movement dedicated to helping men reclaim their strength, self-respect, and leadership through brotherhood and accountability. After losing everything during the pandemic, J.R. rebuilt his life by leaning into service, storytelling, and the power of community. Now, with over 20,000 members in his free online space, he's changing the way men grow, connect, and lead. JR, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast.
Harvey, welcome to the Antares Society. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell everybody who you are and who you help.
Yeah, my name's J.R. Harvey. I go by Harvey. I've built a community for men who are struggling really with various different issues, but really just men who I would say have been broken down by their relationships or society or past trauma or whatever it is. We've built this free community that we've put together. There's about 20,000 guys in it now. We've been building it over the past 3 years, not because this was something that I always wanted to do or something I even felt really called to do. It just happened, and here we are. I just wanted to provide a space where guys could connect with other guys that are going through similar issues. I think there's so much value in guys just knowing and understanding that you're not alone in the stuff that you're going through. You're not alone in battles that you're facing or the relationship issues you're facing or the past traumas you're trying to overcome or the attachment styles you have, whatever it is. I didn't realize it at the time, but as I made more and more content, that was the common theme I saw. I saw so many guys that they just felt so much better about their situation knowing that they weren't the only one going through it. Because when you're going through it, that's how it feels. Because you feel like you can't really talk to anyone about it because normally the people in our circles can't relate. They don't have the same problems that you have. But then you open up into like more of a world view, and there's millions of guys going through exactly what you're going through or have been through what you are going through and can maybe tell you about their experience and how they got through it and let you know that, brother, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know what your journey is going to be, but here's what mine looked like. And I just want to give these guys a place where they can connect and have hope for a better future.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, that people tend to think that they're alone in their circumstances. And it can certainly feel that way when you look at your friend group and the people that you're hanging out with. And sometimes you try to lean on them and to give them a little bit of what you're going through. And they really don't have much to give you back because you're in the same place, in the same spot with the same circumstances. And they might not have the capacity to be able to meet you where you are in this moment or to provide you any type of guidance that's going to really be actionable. So that's really the benefit to the type of groups that, are out there, and especially the one that you've created. What I found interesting is that just how quickly you seem to grow. I've been following you now for quite a while, and it's just awesome what you've done. So how did all this really get started for you?
Yeah, good question. In the beginning, it just started because I lost my job during the pandemic times. I had a second baby on the way. We had a 1-year-old baby that we were still trying to figure out how to take care of. My wife had already left her career and her job, and I just needed to make money. And when we were in that time of like lockdown and me and my wife were going for walks every day and hanging out, and that time I hadn't had social media or really been active on social media or watching anything on social media at all in probably about 10 years. I graduated college and I just made this decision that this thing is not good for me. It's only there to feed my ego in different ways, and I don't like that. And I'm just going to completely stay away from it as much as I can. So my wife was sending me these like funny TikTok videos at the time, and I just got annoyed with having to watch them through my web browser. So I download the app, right? And then I watch the video and all of a sudden, like I scroll a little bit and these apps, they just infiltrate your everything. It's like they're inside of your head. And at the time I went to school for electrical engineering. I got into outside sales, like technical sales. And then my wife and I also built a network marketing business for about 7 years. So like sales, marketing, leadership, entrepreneurship, like that was the stuff that I was into like very heavily. And I still enjoy to this day, but it knew that about me somehow. So immediately it starts sending me that type of content. I'm like, oh, I like this stuff. This is good. And then I start seeing people talking about how they're generating like life-changing income from making videos on this app. And I was like, whoa.
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. I just looked at it, I was like, if this person can do it, I can certainly do it too. So I spent a bunch of money that I didn't have on a credit card to buy a course, to hire a coach, one for learning how to make videos and just understand social media in general, understand TikTok and how it works. And then another program that taught me how to build an e-commerce business called Legendary Marketer. And through that, I was put myself in a corner in a way where I had to figure it out. All right, I just went into debt. We got a baby on the way here, and I need to make this work. So I started off, and thankfully, I found like the right coach at the right time, a person who was just really getting started with teaching people what he knew. It was literally, he hadn't even launched his first program yet.
Nice.
And I signed up 6 weeks before the launch. And I just told him, I was like, hey, I need you now.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can get started? And he said, yeah, I got you. So I literally worked with him one-on-one for 6 weeks before the program even began, sending him videos, and he would critique the size of the text, the color of the text, the placement of the text, the way I was speaking, the sounds that I was using, the trends that were available, like every single thing about the algorithm and how to catch on to it and grow my page. And literally before the program even started, I gained 100,000 followers.
That's wild.
And which was a great success story for him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It helped him sell a lot. He provided a service to me. I got results, and now he could market that to everyone else, to the program that hasn't even begun
look at
yet.
what we did in 3 weeks. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. We did that, and then the program starts, and unfortunately, with whether it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is, it can be taken away from you at any moment.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. It got taken away. The account got taken away just as I broke even. I finally made it. I was like, and it happened so quick, right? It was like, all right, 2 months, I've paid back the money. Now, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. This is awesome. What better way to live life than like making these videos and teaching people about all the things that I've learned over the past years and making money from that.
You're like passive income, baby. Let's go.
Exactly.
This.
It was so new and so exciting and so cool. And then it got taken away from me, like I still don't even know what actually happened. It's just, there's no one to talk to about this stuff when it happens.
Nope.
There's no way. Yeah. There's no way to like reason with them about why it shouldn't have happened and how you need to get it back. So I went through the process of trying to restart some accounts, and I was making like mistakes that I didn't even know I shouldn't be doing. And I was just I found myself like in this dark place where I was going back to old habits. I was beginning to accept that I was going to live a life of mediocrity. I remember like after a month of trying to get it going again, I remember having a conversation with my wife because I was so frustrated. I remember her like looking at me and just saying, hey, I'm okay with us living a normal life. Like you can just go to your job and come back home, and we can spend time together and do what everyone else does. And I began to accept that. But like in my heart, that's not really what I wanted. That's not who I am. I think when you make that type of decision, there's really no there's really no going back. Once you've seen the light, you've seen what's possible, you've seen what other people have created, and you've got like a little taste of it
Okay.
on your own, there was no going back for me. So I reached out to a guy that I heard on a podcast talk about how he lost his account and he started a new one and built it back up. And I told him what was going on and asked him for help. And out of the goodness of his heart, he didn't know who I was. He responded to my message and he gave me a couple of key nuggets because I was bold enough to just reach out and ask the question and search for answers. Some nuggets that I didn't know prior to that. And I started a new account. Once again, it was probably the 6th one in 6 weeks since I lost the first one because they just kept getting taken down.
You were posting old content too, which would create the same problem.
Exactly.
Unknowingly, of course, because
I was like,
you can't identify what the problem is to begin with.
Exactly. I was reposting old videos from the band account. So I was like, this video did great. It should do good again. And yeah, you get it. I start the new account, and because of where I was, like we said earlier, like these algorithms they're inside our heads. It knew I was in a dark place, and it was sending me dark, depressing, like relatable content to the place where I was. And I made a video, like the 4th video I made on the new account. I made a very different type of video that I had never made before. And it was one of a series of probably, I don't know, a couple hundred videos that I've made now called Signs a Man is Broken. And that one video got more views than probably all the videos combined that I had done up to that point. It got 8 million views in about a week.
That's wild.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was divine, like there's no other way to explain it. And it was one of those moments where it's like that meme with the guy digging for the diamonds and he's right there, but he doesn't know it. He can't see the other side of that wall of dirt where his treasure is laying. And if I wouldn't have reached out to Josh, if I wouldn't have gone through everything that I had gone through up to that point, I wouldn't have been able to experience that. With every seed of adversity, there's an equal or greater seed of victory on the other side of it if you don't quit.
I want everybody to hone in on this for a second, because what this really is the power of the pivot. And it's understanding that no matter where you are right now, there is opportunity out there waiting for you to become the right frequency for that opportunity. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be difficulties. You're going to lose a job. And like you did, you're going to figure out what the next step is. And it's going to come to you. You're going to say, I can do this. And you're going to believe in yourself. You're going to start asking the right questions and look for a mentor or a coach to help you along. And then you're going to build up your socials. You're going to lose your account. You're going to end up thinking about giving up and going back and getting a real job again, whatever that means to whoever's out there. Then you're to build your accounts again, but you're going to do it better this time and have multiple accounts for a backup as you move along. So now you're building all of these things at the same time, which is going to give you that sense of safety and security to move forward in a way that still allows you to continue to make money on the platforms, but also get your message out there at the same time. And of course, probably the biggest, most powerful thing here is the power of collaboration. So you're looking for other people to help you along, and you're asking the question. You didn't know that guy. You reached out to him. You took a chance. You bet on yourself. He reached back out and then provided you with some awesome information to help move you along in your process. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible to experience that. And there's so many lessons that I learned through that time, especially with what's the harm in reaching out to someone? What's the harm in asking? There's
None.
no harm to be done at all. None at all. And now when people reach out to me, most people don't.
Yeah.
The majority of people don't. Like, you message me.
Yeah,
And I responded
absolutely. It was great.
because of what happened. I have to pay it forward. Like, I owe it. I owe that. to everyone else who reaches out to me and asks me a question or wants to do a podcast or wants to do an interview or a collaboration, I always respond because I never know how I'm going to impact that person's life and how they're going to impact mine as well.
Yeah.
I could meet my new best friend. I could meet my new business partner, like I did with Rick when I messaged him and said, hey, I would love to connect sometime. And then I hop on his podcast and then he calls me the next day and tells me he wants to collaborate on something. And then we get the whole Crown and Shield program rolling. And now we're impacting all of these men's lives at such a high level. And none of that would have happened if I didn't ask the question or if I didn't reach out and try to connect with them.
Yeah, that's a really great move, by the way. Tell everybody how that got started for you and what you're actually growing with Rick currently.
Yeah. So right now we're growing a community. It's called Crown. So his company, his community is called the Warrior's Way. Mine, the King's community. So Crown for me, Shield for him. It's a collaboration of our two communities. And
Great marketing. I love it. It's so easy and it's right there. It's low hanging fruit.
Yeah. We spent a day like throwing out all of these things and taking polls. And like when we put it out there to poll the audience, like they didn't pick that one, but I was like, we have to pick this one.
Yeah.
It's just a no brainer because if we don't do it for this, we're gonna have to do it for something else. We might as well. Yep. We might as well use it. So yeah, with him, for me personally, like working in this space of not really being a therapist, but being a coach for guys, like my time through sales and managing sales teams and recruiting people and leading them and all of that stuff, it's helpful, but it's like the baby steps of figuring out how to really coach men in different areas of life, how to help them overcome all the things that I haven't overcome myself. Like I'm really good at helping guys overcome the things that I have experienced myself. Rick is really good at helping guys overcome anything. Like truly. And with us, like I built the community. I have this massive reach and following, and he had all the tools.
Okay.
So it's like how we can merge this where we pull from my community and yours and we give guys access to these tools, and I can learn from you all the things that you've been teaching and you've been implementing, and I can implement it into my stuff because in this space, there's really no I don't see anybody as competition.
Nope.
There is such an abundance of men who are hurting and struggling out there right now that we couldn't possibly reach them all. And we as one person, one man, couldn't possibly help them all, even if we did reach them all. And everybody is going to relate with different people in different ways with their struggles, the way they carry themselves, the way they look. Like everybody in Rick's group has a giant beard, just like him. Like every single one of them, whether they had it before they met him or they grew it after they met him, they all got these beards. And my guys are all nice guys. They're all people pleasers. They have the biggest hearts you could ever imagine, but they allow people to take advantage of them and walk all over them. And it's not even that they're surrounded by bad people. They just teach people how to treat them. Yeah. They allow people to treat them in certain ways that not only does it not benefit the guys, it doesn't benefit the people around them either.
Yeah, those covert contracts, man, they're going to get you every time.
Yes, the covert contracts, that's such a fun subject to dive into. When I remember the first time I read Dr. Robert Glover's book and started diving into his stuff, I had been doing self-improvement and like deep work for probably 5 years. And then I stumbled upon that. I was like, oh, this is my actual problem. Here it is. All of this stuff that has been helping me improve my life and learn how to grow a pair and get a backbone and stand up for myself and lead people and make decisions. Like his book just sums up perfectly like the experience that I had and the problems that I faced. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this hits home just at an extreme level. I was like, this is the problem. And this is how I can help guys now that I understand like what my actual problem is. And then people start talking about anxious attachment and avoidance and all that stuff plays in too. I don't like the labels.
No.
I don't like the labels for any of it, whether it's ADHD or anxiety or depression or attachment
Yeah.
styles. I don't like any of that stuff, but I do think there is a place to understand kind of where it all started.
Yeah.
Like, how did I get to this point and what it, because the end goal is the same for everybody, right? Like, we all want to reach that place of being self aware, being able to conquer our inner selves and climb the mountain to the highest levels of whatever success looks like for ourselves. But all of that stuff, whatever it is, anxiety, depression, nice guy syndrome, attachment styles, past trauma, all of that stuff is the really good tools to just identify the problems in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't like that people use it as a crutch where it's like, because I have this, because this is who I am, I'll never be able to really get these things in life.
Yeah. I'm anxious. You have to deal with it. And this is just the way it is. I'm never going to change. It's okay. Good luck with that. You're going to live a really tough life.
It will be a hard life.
Yeah,
It's a victim mentality at the end of the day.
it is.
And another part of the problem is when we start diagnosing the people around us.
It's everybody's favorite. Just look at TikTok, right?
How many narcissists are there in the world?
Apparently everybody at this point. So I don't know about that. It's so interesting. We love these labels so much, and it really becomes a weapon, but it's also the barrier to connection that you truly desire. You keep labeling all these people and speaking limitation over them, and then you expect that same person to completely give themselves to you and give everything, be vulnerable and keep giving to you. But it's how are you showing up and what are you doing and how are you contributing to this relationship with other people? And it can be friends and family and coworkers and romantic relationships. We're always in an exchange, a value exchange. We're always co-creating with one another, whether we realize it or not, or even like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you think you have to fix the other person for you to get better, you're the problem.
Yeah. Well, they
It's as
always
simple as
find the book attached and then they send it to their partner priority mail and they're like, you need to fix yourself. You need to read this book because I already did. And they think by reading the book that they did the work, but they haven't deployed any of the exercises in their real life to be able to work on themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually and make any significant changes. And for the people that, grab those books and they read them, if you actually started taking action in your own life in the areas that I just mentioned, and then you make a habit out of it, and then you do it consistently over long periods of time, you begin to realize that you're changing your environment because you're changing. And then people have to respond to you because you're showing up differently. Now, they might not show up in the way that you want them to, right? You might not get exactly what you want, but they'll excuse themselves from your life or you'll end up spending less time with them because of that change that you made for yourself. And ultimately, that opens you up to then receive what actually is out there for you.
Yeah, that's beautifully said, man. I think a big mistake, I think culturally, a big misconception is that we think knowing is learning. So I read the book. I know all about this thing. But anyone who ever went to college like I did, or maybe even went into the trades and went to some kind of school, you realize as soon as you get out and get into your first job, you don't know anything because the learning is in the doing. It's as simple as that. With everything, the learning is in the doing. So if you're not doing and failing and adjusting, you're not learning. You're just gaining knowledge to gain knowledge. And it actually makes it worse. There's nothing worse than knowing everything about your problem and how to solve it and not doing anything about it. It's better to be blissfully ignorant. If that's what you're going to do with this, don't read the books. Just don't. Like, just keep pretending like everyone else is the problem. Your life might be better. I don't know.
There is something to that being blissfully ignorant to everything around you. There was a little bit of, even though it was chaotic, it was your chaos and you were familiar with it and you were fine with it. And then all of a sudden you get introduced to this new information and you're like, shit, here I am. Now what am I going to do with this? And you start to feel stuck if you don't do anything with it. So you got to move forward some way, somehow.
Yeah, but most people can't do that alone. I don't know that anybody
No.
does it alone. Every successful person that you meet, they had a coach, a mentor, a father figure, a group of guys that they've surrounded themselves. Someone came into their life and had a positive impact. Every story. Nobody does this alone. Nobody figures it out alone. So I don't know why everyone keeps trying to.
Yeah, no kidding. And those mentors are the people that come into your life. It can be just a temporary season. They might not be there forever or through the long haul. It can just be through a period of your life where you need it most. And for whatever reason, you decided to reach out, or somehow or another, you became connected to this person, or they observed something in you and they reached out. But that's something that we all have the power to do for one another. So when you see somebody struggling, when you see somebody going through a hard time, be the person that helps lift them up. I was watching a TikTok video the other day, and this girl's standing up on the chair and she's trying to pull this guy up, but he's trying to pull her back down. And it's obviously easier for him to pull her off the chair than it is for her to lift him up. But this is what we're put here to do, to be of service and to help lift each other up along the way. What do you think is the biggest challenge that men are facing today? Or at least, is there a pattern to what you've seen inside of the King's community?
Let's say the patterns that I see inside of our community. Majority of the guys that relate with my content, definitely in a victim state of mind. They're definitely plagued with distractions, and they haven't had any real positive male role models in their life. And I think that's really the root of it at the end of the day, not having like strong masculine male role models in your life, because you have nothing to model after. And then you're left trying to figure it out on your own. And oftentimes when we're left to figure it out on our own, we just do whatever works as children. And then we do that for the rest of our lives. This is what kept me safe. This is what got my needs met. This is what allowed me to feel the love and connection that I desired with whoever was around me in the home. So this is the strategy I'll apply for the rest of my life. But the question I always ask guys is, would you ever walk up to a 10-year-old boy, tell him about all the problems you're having right now and ask him for advice on how to solve it? Of course you wouldn't. He knows nothing. But here we are, still harboring the same beliefs, making the same decisions, implementing the same strategies that we were implementing when we were 10, 15, 18 years old, when we're 30, 40, 50 years old. Of course we're failing, because being an adult is completely different than being a child. It's not even close to the same thing. Not even close. So if you implement the strategies of a child, you're going to get terrible results for the rest of your life. And it's like facing your shadow, right? The unconscious and the conscious. If you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will become your fate. Like, it'll ruin your life and you'll just call it was destined to be.
What is shadow work for the people that are unfamiliar?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a big expert. Like, I'm familiar with the Carl Jung stuff, and I've been dabbling in it recently. But for me, when I think of shadow work, I really think of the stuff that I'm afraid to face. I think of all of the triggers that I have, right? I think it's a really great awareness practice in my mind, like getting to a place where I understand this other part of me that is reacting to things because that's what was modeled for me as a child, in a way. Right? I'm reacting to things maybe because that's how my parents reacted to things. I still do. I catch myself doing it now with my kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, was that my mom coming at me? What the heck?
Sure was. What is that?
Right. What is going on? But just that awareness of, okay, I'm like the other day I was like, why am I avoiding making this phone call right now? Like I'm doing everything I possibly can, finding every distraction possible, every excuse, everything that I think is productive to do other than this thing that I know that I need to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna work out first, or then I'm gonna go for a walk, or no, I got to take the garbage, or I got to clean the house, and then I got to clean. So, what was it for you with that particular phone call that was causing you not to? Because I go through this all the time with different things, and it's so funny when it pops up. You have to laugh at yourself, and it's just make the damn call, just do the thing, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, for me it's always some type of fear of rejection. That's what most of my stuff is rooted in. Just being rejected in some way, being told no. Like I've spent so many years like just overcoming that, but it's still there. And if I'm not, what I find it's just like the gym, it's just a mental muscle where if I'm not continually working it, it does atrophy.
Oh yeah.
I did sales for a long time and then I stopped for a while and all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck? Why am I so afraid to make a phone call? I used to make 60, 80 phone calls a day sometimes. I would go knock on strangers' doors and do all these things and cold call people in public spaces. I'm afraid to call a guy that I know. What's going on here? This is not me.
It must have been really hard to lose your accounts then if you have that fear of rejection and then all of a sudden your account is gone. What happened? Why did you reject me? What is going on here? I don't understand. I can imagine that would bring up a lot of other past experiences that maybe you haven't looked at or integrated yet.
That's what it triggered me into that state. It triggered me into that place of going back to distractions. All of a sudden I was watching anime and playing video games and smoking weed every night. It was like I was a kid again.
Yeah.
I went right back into my default settings.
Yeah. It's the emotional home.
Yeah, it's where I feel comfort. So I think just being aware of how I react to certain things in different situations and being a like once I became aware of that stuff, once I became aware of my default settings, as I'll call them, I could catch myself in it. And that is also in itself a practice. Like sometimes I would catch it after a couple days. Sometimes I would catch it after a week. But as I kept doing it over and over again, I would catch it and turn it around faster. It's not about being upset that I got triggered or I failed or I fell back into it. It's how fast can we get back on the horse and keep going down the path that we want to go down?
Yeah, it's really easy to get to that negative self-talk in that experience, though. So you're just beating yourself up over the things that, are obviously out of your control and you reacted in a way that maybe you feel like you shouldn't have. And then for me, it's just like you start punishing yourself. Like, you're an idiot. Why would you do that? Why would you say that? Why would you allow that to happen? But as you create that awareness again over long periods of time, you end up building up your nervous system capacity for the discomfort and the uncertainty that you're experiencing in the moment. And then as you condition yourself, you get to this place where you spend far less time in those places that take you down that negative thought spiral. You just observe it, allow it to happen. Yeah, it's there. It's okay. We got this. And you move forward. It's a great place to be when you can get there, but it's a lifetime practice, not something that happens in 2 weeks or 6 months or
Yeah.
everybody always wants to know how long. And it's practice. It takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't use it, you lose it.
That's for sure.
How many people have you seen reach levels and then think
the
that
time.
it happens all the time in every industry. So they stopped reading, they stopped growing, they stopped doing the things because they decided that they know everything now.
Yeah, which is interesting because you do get to these places where you're elevated and then you feel really good for a little bit. And maybe there's some self-sabotage in there. I don't know. You get up there and you think, well, maybe I don't deserve it, or I've gone far enough, or maybe I've gone too far, or maybe I'm just conditioned to thrive in this lower state and I need to allow myself to get back to this state. And then I turn it back on and start building and rebuilding and going after it. And that recharges you and puts you back in that place of that rocky montage that some of us like to live inside of. And I'm guilty of that. You get to
Sure,
a good
just
place and just let it fall.
let it fall. So now, oh, we're backed in a corner again. Guess we got to do something.
And it
Right?
feels
It's
so
still,
good. It doesn't.
no, of course not. Of course not.
So how important is a rite of passage? I feel like this is something that has gotten missed over probably the last 50 years or so, where young men and boys just aren't being shown the ways of the world and how it operates and their place in it, and the expectations that go along with that. So they find themselves later on in life trying to figure all of this stuff out, because eventually they do create that awareness, or they hit their pain threshold plus one more step, and that can be a divorce or the loss of a job, or something's going on in their life that everything feels like it's being taken away or torn down. How can we begin to reintegrate a rite of passage for the young men and boys that are out there?
I don't know that I have an answer to that. I don't know what I haven't spent much time thinking about it, honestly, for myself, because I have all girls. Like all of my
Oh,
children are girls. And it's almost like
you can hit us with those challenges too.
it's a totally different thing
Yeah.
because I'm not raising them to be boys. I don't want to do that. I don't really understand how to be a girl. We have to have, my wife and I have these conversations. It's like, all right, how do we do this appropriately? Because I have no idea. So we need to find people that do know, and we need to lean on your experiences and maybe the shortcomings and failures that you saw through your own upbringing and the things that you experienced yourself, so that we can help them navigate this stuff. And for me, I think a big part of it is just modeling what, I don't want to say like a good man, but modeling to the best I can, like being a good father and being a quote unquote good man, whatever that means. Because I think that has a lot to do with who they select down the road.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's anecdotal evidence at the very least
I don't
of
think you
that.
need case studies on it, man. I think it's pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And with raising kids, I think raising kids and marriage, like both of those things, or relationships in general, they're like a battleground for self-improvement.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the playing field right there. You can learn and apply and develop all of these skills, but that's really where the rubber meets the road. Can you do it? Can I do it with this group of 4 ladies that are in my kingdom right here? Can I keep my cool? Can I make the right decisions? Can I hold firm in my decisions? Can I make sure that I'm firm, but not too firm, and let them know that I truly love them for who they are, not for the acts that they're doing, like all of these things that play into it. And I'm gonna mess them up in some way because I'm not perfect, and they're not gonna
Right.
be perfect either. So there's like some grace and acceptance for ourselves with that too. But at the same time, we want to do the best job we possibly can to help to make sure that we're not continuing to pass down the curses that we've been handed from our own families.
And that's such a good point, because we always operate with the best we can with the tools that we have. And with that comes an acknowledgement that our parents, even though some of them may have been emotionally immature, there were some other struggles within our family of origin, whatever that may have been for you. A lot of people are harboring a lot of negativity in that experience. And that can be very true for you, but ultimately it becomes your challenge and your responsibility to begin to heal those things within yourself, so that you don't pass it on down to the younger generations. Because whatever you don't take care of within yourself, it's almost a guarantee that your kids are going to have to heal that within themselves, plus everything that happens inside of them.
Yeah, you're giving it to them, whether you know it or not,
100%. Yeah.
whether they know it or not, they're receiving that. The only thing we can do is, it's not, I think that in the relationships, especially the guys that I work with, there's the happy wife, happy life thing, right? That has just plagued our culture for so long.
Yeah, let
But
me
it's
know how
this,
all that self-abandoning works for you.
yeah, dude, it's not selfless to do that stuff. It's self-harm and it's self-abandonment. That's exactly what it is. It's not, I'll take care of you so that you can take care of me. It's, I'm going to take care of me so that I can be the best I can for you. And you need to take care of you so that you can be the best you can for me and our family. That's the mindset that my wife and I had to get to really start working as a team and making sure that we both had the space to work on ourselves together and separate. Exactly. Like she needs her time. She needs her time to go to her Bible study. She needs her time to work out. She needs her time to just healthy outlets, do her healthy outlets. She needs time to hang with like other women, just like we need time with the boys. It's no different, but we also need our time together.
Yeah.
And
I mean, no, I was just going to add in there, Robin Dunbar, they did that case study and put it out there that men need 2 days a week with their buddies. And that can be at a bar, it can be hanging out, it can be going to the gym, whatever it is, but having that time with other people to communicate and just, it's not even direct communication, right? Everything's always side by side. But,
isn't that funny?
yeah. I love it. I think it's great. Just be in the same space at the same time, hanging out, and that seems to be good enough.
It really is for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But even that, like when that study comes out, right? Everyone's just like crapping on it, right? They're just like, oh my gosh. No, this is what it's showing that men need. This is what will benefit them. Why can't we just accept it? We accept all the things that benefit you.
Right.
And we literally morphed and bent society around those benefits to try and get you to the best place you possibly can, because you're blaming this patriarchal system for all the problems that you currently have. So why can't we flip the coin to the other side and say, hey, here's what the men need? Because the men are hurting. The women are hurting too.
I was going to say, everybody at this point is hurting. You can thank the American Psychiatric Association for all of that.
It's a joke, man. It's a joke.
Like I said, I'm not against therapy. I need to put that out there, but there's things that get put out there into the world that are actually more harmful than they are good in the long term. It's a problem. And that's why your discernment as an individual is extremely important in terms of what type of care you're willing to receive and who you're going to receive that from. I'll leave it there on that. But
I think it's very simple. Does this person have the results in life that I want? And have they helped other people? Is it clear that they have helped other people do that too? That's it. Is there fruit on the tree or not? If there isn't, like there's so many people that teach about relationships, but they're single. There's so many people that, teach in theory. And sure, people who aren't in a relationship or have failed in a relationship, we can talk about the mistakes we've made and we can talk about, but I'm not going to teach people like how to build a multi-million-dollar business because I haven't done it. Yet. Exactly.
Yes.
So it pains me to see people giving advice on things that they have no value to give. They have no success in those areas, but they have a platform and here we go. Now it's just all of this information is just being social media is like the best and worst thing to ever happen to us. It's beautiful because it provides this opportunity for everybody. When I was in that program, there were people in there doing the most ridiculous things you could think of that create a business. There was a girl that was, I won't even tell you how, it's stupid how much money she was making teaching women how to braid their hair in different ways.
Yeah.
Okay. There were guys teaching people about camping and fishing and hunting. There were like these just obscure niches of hobbies that these people were like super into. Whatever you're into now. Not whatever you're into, but like most things, healthy hobbies and outlets, if you know it very well and can tell people about your experiences and teach them how to get into it or teach them how to do it better, there's value in that. And where there's value that you can provide to others, there's a business opportunity. And now that we have all these platforms to share that stuff, you can do anything you want. And I think people really don't understand that. If they did, they wouldn't be trapped in jobs that they hate. Or maybe they just can't overcome the fact that they're too afraid to take the step out there and actually do it. But if they knew what we know, if they've seen what we've seen, if they've experienced what we experienced, they would get it.
What gave you the audacity to do it?
It was my experience in network marketing, honestly, hands
Okay.
down.
I was going to say, a lot of guys, it's so interesting to me how many of you started in sales. I was a police officer. So
Mm.
I think it's really interesting to see just how many people started in sales and now they open up these men's groups. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal because there's clear that you're able to create a connection. You have the authority, you have the leadership to go along with that, and all the sales trainings that help to get you to that place to begin with. But then there's this genuine authenticity that you're able to throw out there. And I think people sense that. And it just makes it a lot easier to say, you know what? Yeah, I want to work with Harvey. Absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, the sales thing, especially if some people aren't really familiar with network marketing and how all that works. But if you look at a lot of the most successful people, you look at Ed Milet, you look at Grant Cardone, you look at Patrick Bet David, and so many others, they all started their careers in network marketing through typically like insurance or life insurance type or
And finance. Yeah.
financial service type companies. They all became the people that they became. Myron Golden. They all became those people through that battlefield because it is, if you can be successful in that, you can do anything, man. That was the hardest thing I have ever done outside of figuring out how to have a successful marriage and raise children at the same time. Like it pushed us to limits that I had never been before because there's so many different skill sets that you need to develop. Not only do you need to be good at sales, you also need to build a team. Okay. So you got to recruit people. You got to inspire people. People got to look at you and say, man, if I just attach my wagon to him, we're going places. That guy can take me places. You got to be authentic. You got to be honest. And you have to then know how to scale a business and create leaders inside of your team and understand psychology and understand how to train people on all the stuff that you've learned and understand how to speak from stages in front of large groups of people. There's so many little pieces. And contact people. Maybe not so much anymore. It's shifted because of social media and the internet, but we had to go out every day. I would get home from my job after working all day, and then I would go out into the world and start shaking people's hands. I would say hello or start conversations with 5, 10, 20 people in hopes that I would exchange contact information with 3 of them, every 3 to 5 every single day, and then set up meetings with 3 to 5 of those, 3 to 5 every single day, 3 to 5 times a week. That was the strategy. That was the game plan. If you're able to accomplish that, meet a stranger at a gas station or at the gym or in the grocery store. Everybody's been contacted by these people. Like it happens. They're out there. And most of the time you can smell it on them where you're just like, oh, I don't like that was off. Something weird about that. So you have to get so good at it that people meet you and think, I really like that guy. For some reason, I trust him, and I would like to hear him out and see what he has to say. That took years to figure out.
I can only imagine.
It is an animal, man. It was a nightmare.
How do you feel all of that has impacted what you're doing right now? And the second question to that would be, what are you building right now? Where do you see this going?
Yeah, so to answer the first question, it's a part of everything. Like going through those experiences and those challenges, the valleys that we experience, the lows that we experience, the massive amounts of debt that we got into ourselves into, the mistakes that we made, and the success that we had as well. Although not the success I would have liked to have, we still had success and saw fruit from that. And because of that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say proof of concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to
But
turn it away when you have that proof of concept. It's, I got to keep doing this. It's, I got to keep, you're on the slot machine. I got to keep going.
yes, yeah, we saw results and we were like, okay, this is actually working. What they're telling us to do is actually working and it's happening. And we're starting to see the results that like our mentors are seeing. And we were so tight. They, regardless of the amount of money that we had made, like whether it was none or in the negative or we made a lot, it radically changed who we were as people individually because it was the best personal development program and sales and leadership program I had ever been in my life. And the quality of people, it wasn't just sales, it was family too. It was faith. Like we found our faith through working with those people because all of a sudden I grew up more likely to I convinced my friends to stop going to church. That's who I was. I was a drug dealer when I was young. That's how my wife found me when I was in that point of my life. And when we got around these people and we received mentorship really for the first time in my life, I can't speak for my wife. I'm sure she had other people come into her life, like the coaches that she had because she was an athlete. But for the first time, I had a man that I could look at and he was like truly better than me in all these different categories in life. He had wealth. He knew how to build a business. He knew how to communicate with people. He knew his marriage was like, not just it looked good from the outside, like it was incredible. They loved each other clearly. And she respected him and he was calling the shots and leading the way. And then he started introducing me to his circle and all the people he knew, and they were all the same thing. And then I went to conference and I was hearing them all speak from stage and I'm like, every single person that goes up here, give glory to God. Like these people, I remember talking to my wife afterwards. I was like, what do you think about all this? She was like, I don't know, but these people love Jesus. And I was like, that's very clear. They sure do. And because of who they genuinely were as people and the results that they were getting, the fruit that they had, it opened up that doorway for me. They didn't convince me or try and make me do anything. I just saw what they had and the way that they were living. And I saw everyone else in my past life and the beliefs that they had, which were similar to mine, and the results that they were getting with divorce and addiction and poverty and on it goes. And just remember thinking, maybe I should start thinking more like these people. And if this is
the invitation.
Yeah, if this is a foundation of the way they think and the way they see things and their worldview, we need to at least see what's going on there. And then the path began. And through that experience of being with them, being mentored by them, building teams with them, learning how to become a leader, we significantly impacted people's lives. The ripple effect of that, man, it can't even be measured.
It's huge.
It can't even be measured. I felt it in my own life. I saw the effects it had on my wife and who she was becoming because of who I was becoming.
Yeah.
And we were finally working together on something. Like we had a common goal for the first time in our lives instead of going our separate ways every day. And she's got her friends and I got my friends and she's got her career and I got my career and all of that. Now we had something that we had to really figure out how to communicate and work together on. And it changed our lives, man. And when we saw the impact that we could have, for me, especially on the young men that came into our teams and the way they just transformed, man, that experience right there, that's why I wanted to keep doing it. And once we were done with it, it was like, I still need that in my life in some capacity. Like, I know that's what I'm here to do in some way. I don't know how or what it's going to be, but I know this is something I'm meant to do.
It's awesome testimony, by the way. I love
Thanks,
hearing
man.
that. It's the language of a shared mission and vision when we look at our relationships. And it's something I encourage people to do all the time is use the language of a shared mission and vision. Okay, what does that sound like for you as a couple? Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What is the purpose behind this? Where do you think this is going to lead you? And do you have a 1, 3, 5, and 10-year plan? And I know that sounds intense for a lot of people, but start with the 1 year and the 3 year. And then as you're going through, you check in with each other along the way that are we still on track? Are we moving in the right direction? Is our intention still the same? Are we in integrity with the things that we really want to do? And to go from where you started to where you are now, I think is the testimony in itself. I think that's absolutely amazing. Not a lot of people would be able to do that.
Now, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Just about anything worth doing is not going to be easy.
No.
It is going to be challenging in some way. It's going to push you to limits that you didn't even know existed. And it's just a question. I think one of the biggest things we learned in the beginning stages of building that business and being with those people, when we experienced our first setbacks, I remember sitting in the car like, man, this isn't working. It's not doing what you told me it was going to do when I did this stuff. And I remember him, my mentor, who's still a great friend of mine to this day, Dusty. He was like, you got a choice to make, man. You can either give up and forget about building this life that we've talked about and fulfilling all these dreams that you've had, or you can keep pushing through and see what's on the other side of this struggle, because I know there's a victory there for you. I don't know what it looks like, and I don't know exactly how you're going to get there, but if you keep going, it's there. And this is what it looks like. I would have never thought that this is what I was going to be doing. I never, like I said in the beginning, I never wanted to like do what I'm doing now with working with men and coaching guys and just giving them all the lessons and trainings and stories that have helped me get through my stuff and overcome my own challenges. But it's because of all that adversity that we faced early on in life. It's because we were chasing stuff super hard and in our early 20s that now we're at this place where we're not done yet. Like we have so many things to still overcome and figure out and grow and be better at, but we're further ahead.
Yeah.
We're further ahead than certain people.
And
those are the
celebrate
people.
that.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like we have to remember where we were. We have to look at who our past selves were. Like my wife being just an anxiety nightmare. She had panic attacks like often. And me being the nice guy, the pushover, the drug dealer, the constantly going to distractions and substances to escape my problems and my pain. Like we were those people.
Super chaotic.
Terrible. Till we were a match made in hell. There's no reason we should have made it. There's no reason we should have even gotten together. But we did the thing. We spent enough time with each other that we said we should probably get married now. Right? As society
Next
kinda
logical
points us.
step, man.
My wife is also an engineer, and I remember the conversation. We were like sitting in this apartment in Youngstown, Ohio, and she pulled up a spreadsheet and she said, "Hey,
Oh God.
what are we doing? Because if we're not getting married, we got to stop doing this. Because I got a plan and I want to get married by this age so that we can spend this amount of time together before we have kids and accomplish all of these things." Like she had all of these, she had the goals, she had the vision, she had the dreams. I didn't even know how to dream. I was perfectly happy and content with absolutely nothing, because my shadow or my trauma, my belief was that if I have no needs,
Can't be taken away.
they can't be taken away and I can't be let down.
Yeah.
I can't be rejected. So like me not having a vision, not having any goals or dreams to chase, it was just me protecting myself. It was my protection mechanism that I had. I'm perfectly happy with myself as I am in the life that we are in. I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. I don't care about striving to like be better or do any of these things. I'm just going to live life as I always have. I'm going to go with the flow. And that was going to not work out so well if I kept doing that. It was going to destroy our marriage for sure.
I think that's where a lot of men live currently, in that quiet desperation.
Mm.
They're complacent. They don't know that they're capable of more. They might not feel like they have more gas in the tank, even though it's there. They just haven't tapped into it yet. They haven't taken the time to take an inventory of the things in their life that are serving them or that are going to be helpful or unhelpful in their lives. And they're just afraid of taking that next step because they're just uncertain of how to do it.
It's not that complicated. This one mentor, he would always say, don't confuse the simplicity of the process with the complexity of you. This is all you have to do. Here's the steps. Just do them. If you can do them, you will have what you want.
Yeah.
But we get in our own way. We have to go through that awareness piece of it. We have to understand, like, why do I keep sabotaging myself? Why do I keep attracting these unhealthy relationships? I think that's one of the things that's so funny to me that people don't really understand. It's like your partner is a direct reflection of who you are and where you're at, good or bad. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to take in, especially if you really are unhappy with who you ended up with and how they treated you. And the hardest like talk I ever had when it came to marriage and like a point of reflection for me, this guy was talking to me about the changes I needed to make and how I needed to start stepping up and taking leadership of the marriage and fulfilling this role that I didn't even know existed that I should be fulfilling. I was constantly like blaming my wife for stuff. Right? She's holding us back. She's so emotional. She can't do this right. She can't do that right. And he looked at me and he said, listen, man, right now, you guys just got married. You're fresh into this. And who your wife is when you get married is her father's fault or lack thereof. And who she's going to become from here is yours.
That's good.
It's such a heavy weight though.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we're meant to carry. Like we're meant to carry the hardships. We're meant to carry the weight, the burdens. We're built for that stuff. And I think if you start looking at our wives more like my daughters in a way, right? Where I'm constantly trying to build them up and let them know that I still love you. Everything's going to be okay. But also standing firm in like our boundaries and like what needs to happen for us to achieve this common vision and these goals that we have, and not allowing her to overstep because of emotional things that are going on or things that we just want to do. Right? All of that stuff plays into who she's become now. It's not like I don't want to take credit for the growth that she's had, because that wouldn't be fair to her. She's one of the hardest working people you ever meet in your life. She was a Division I athlete. She's a competitive bodybuilder. Like she gets after it like no
High
one
achiever.
else. She is a high achiever. She is a high achiever without a doubt, which is a blessing and a curse in its own way. She grew up with the mindset of you are valued for what you do and accomplish. So failure, being wrong, mistakes, those things crush. They used to absolutely crush her.
And then that becomes your challenge to navigate.
Exactly. But at the same time, like I think when it comes to navigating their stuff as men, just do less.
Yeah, don't take it personal.
Yeah, do less. Me coming from where I came from, when she was upset, that triggers me. Because if she's upset, that means that I need to somehow make her happy. Because if she's not happy, if she's not stable, if she's not in a good mood, I can't get the things I need. I can't get the love that I desire. I can't be safe in the house. Right? Those are my default settings. Those are the beliefs that I had from childhood that I carried into our marriage. So I'm constantly trying to fix her stuff. But what happens when we go right into solution mode? What does that do to them? It feels like a judgment.
Yeah.
It feels like an instant judgment, like they can't handle it by themselves. It feels like we're not accepting them for who we are. I used, like, when we first started self-development, I was like, positive self-talk, radical positive self-talk. We're not talking about anything negative. We're not giving life to it. There's a lot of value in that, but at the same time, we got to be real with each other sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, we got to be able to talk to each other about whatever it is that we're facing. And when you just shut her down every time she tries to bring up something that she's worried about or that she's upset about, you're letting her know that she's not allowed to express her genuine thoughts, feelings, and emotions around you. You've lost the emotional safety and security of the relationship. And when you lose that, she starts to try and create that on her own, and she's not very good at it. And now you have someone that's building resentment because she can't release the stuff to you. And eventually she's going to explode. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's for sure. And that's exactly what it is. If you can be that pillar of strength in the moment and not take things personally and just recognize it's like she's wound up and she just needs to let it all go, and you accept that and with no judgment, and you allow it to exist, that creates that sense of trust and safety that is needed in that moment.
That's it, man.
And then you do that over a long period of time consistently, and a lot of other problems tend to go away.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
We're creating more problems.
Yes.
Because we're solution seekers. Like, how do men talk when we get together? If we're talking about problems, we're talking about solutions too. How do women typically talk when they get together?
It's like
typically
that
not
video.
like that. Where it's like the nail in the head thing, right?
Yes, I've been thinking about that for the past 5 minutes.
It's so funny, but it's so dead on accurate. And it's so difficult for us to just don't say anything, dude. Allow her to fix her own stuff on her own time. Her problems are her problems, and your problems are your problems. There's some problems that you're going to share together, and
say occasionally it'll overlap.
It's going to overlap from time to time, but I'm not her therapist, and I'm not her coach. You can't be. You can't. It's not going to work very well.
But she's also not yours, and we need to make that very clear.
Exactly.
It's what you got friends for. It's why you have mentors and coaches, men's groups, church groups. Maybe not the church group so much. Don't want to let them into the personal stuff, but
you're afraid of the church gossip.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we all need to pray for Jason tonight. He shared something with us that I need to let you know.
It's so true, though. You just have a group of friends separate from the church as well for some other stuff. Did a podcast with Dr. Judy Ho, and she has this new, I'm not going to include this in the podcast, but it's the core 3, where somebody's the mentor, the supporter, or the challenger in your life. And I liked the idea of that. And she even said, even your spouse may not be any of those things. They might be something separate, but everybody needs those core 3, the mentor, supporter, and the challenger. And I started thinking about that more, and I was just like, you know what? That's actually really true. We need that mentor in our lives. We need the challenger, and we need somebody who can support us. And no one person is going to be able to give you all of those things generally. I'm not saying they don't exist out there, but for the most part, people don't have that type of capacity to meet you there with all of those.
No, it's a mistake to try to get all of your needs filled by your person. Huge
Yes.
mistake.
You'll be disappointed, you'll be let down, and then filled with contempt and resentment if you don't acknowledge the capacity of the person that you're with, if you try to put too much on them to be all these things that you've made up in your mind that are important to you. All right, Eric, you got any questions for us, brother?
Not so much questions. You touched earlier on you help guys that are broken, or you mentioned like rejection. And that's what I'm dealing with. I'm coming up almost 2 years going through a divorce, and I'm doing all the things. Like I think I went in when it happened, went into like survival mode. Like I was working nonstop, didn't want to lose the house, did side work, read all the self-help books you possibly could do, did therapy, quit drinking, all these things. Like this last year probably was like my most successful year. I got a new job, did an Ironman, just physically stronger, never got sick, but I still feel like shit. Still, when it comes to her, still feel this like sadness or the rejection is still like very real. And I just can't working to get through all that. And then all these relationship books that I read or hear, I'm like, man, I could have done that. And it makes me think I could have fixed it, or we could have, or maybe it can be fixed. And it's like this pipe dream that is non-existent. So I don't know. Everyone says that, but in no time it'll get better. And
That's not true. That's not necessarily true. I think what you're doing is, what you're really doing is you're dealing with loss right now, and you're stuck in the grief cycle because you haven't come to a place of acceptance that it's over.
Yeah. I think going back to, you mentioned what you did when you were younger. Like when I broke up with my one serious girlfriend, like in college, I was able to leave. I could leave, get away. I didn't have any association with her. Like now it's like my ex-wife, we have a daughter. I'm constantly seeing it. It's there. There's no escaping it. It's that grief or that loss, constant reminder every day. Yeah, that is what I'm struggling to process. Even knowing logically that nothing's going to change. Anything that she told me why she did it or whatever doesn't change the fact that we're not together and I have to live my life now.
Yeah, I think just knowing that the path, like the end goal, is complete acceptance of that being done and never coming back. You mentioned reading the relationship books and you're like, man, maybe I could have fixed it. Maybe I can still fix it. You're putting yourself in this place where you haven't really let it go yet. And people ask me all the time, like, how do I know when I've accepted this loss or accepted this thing? It won't bother you anymore. Was that even possible? That's not possible. Okay, let's do it your way. You just want to be stuck like this for the rest of your life? Is that better? Probably not. You can get to a place of acceptance. I'm not really mad at what Rick, who I know you're going to have on next week, right? Rick has spent a majority of his learning in figuring out how to help people deal with loss. Like he's competent in so many different areas, but that is really his main expertise because it's everywhere all the time. It's not just when people die. Like we're experiencing loss almost on a daily basis. That's why we get triggered oftentimes, right? Loss of an opportunity, loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of a friendship, loss of whatever. And we get stuck in this cycle of being sad and angry. And then we go to distractions, and then we go to delusions, and then we go back to being sad and angry. And we just go through this loop over and over because you don't realize it's, all right, be sad. Be as sad as you need to be. Be angry about it. Fall into distraction. Play out your delusions and do battle with that stuff. but then you have to accept it. And there's so many more details, I think the real details are in how to process all four of those steps, really. Rick's the right guy to talk to about it, honestly. Like, he'll explain it so eloquently and so simply and give you the step-by-steps of it, man. It's incredible. But I truly believe like a majority of the pain all of us are experiencing are due to the fact that we can't properly deal with loss, typically in the form of relationships.
And it comes from this place of how things should be, and then the story that we're telling ourselves about that past scenario and our current situation.
Yeah, the story we tell ourselves. The
Again,
delusions that
how
we're
it
making.
should be. I read all these books, and now I have all these tools and all these skills that I didn't have a year ago. And I could have saved this. I could have salvaged this. I could have done something better. And now it's my fault. Why did I do this? This is so stupid. I'm an idiot. But you're not. You didn't have those tools available to you in the time. And that's okay. You weren't supposed to, but you have them now. And so now this arms you moving forward with looking at the different types of relationships that you're going to get yourself into. And if you listen to this whole podcast, there's all sorts of tools that we gave throughout the whole process of how you're going to integrate yourself into relationships, how you're going to make contact with people, how important communication is, a shared mission and vision. And you're going to look at relationships just a little bit differently than maybe you had in the past. And that's not to make you feel bad about your past situation, but it should give you hope and inspiration for what you can achieve in the future. But it goes back to that acceptance, the story that you're telling yourself about that past relationship and where you are now. It's not a helpful story. It's an unhelpful story. But it's still a story.
Yeah. For sure.
Because you even said, do you want it back? Do you really?
No, it's just like when you read all these things, and now I have, like you said, I have these tools in my mind. Like, I can replay every argument or every situation and can see how I could have better handled it for myself. Now, she would have I don't know how she would act, but
Right.
at least I know what I could do different.
And that's where we get to that place moving forward into the future. Are you guys going to be best friends? Probably not. You don't have to be. You can. There's a lot of people that do it, but that's the whole point of getting these types of tools and making them available to you and then deploying them in real life is the fact that you can change that relationship in the way that it operates currently, but you might not be ready for that just yet. And that's okay too. It goes back to being the best co-parent that you possibly can be with this person.
Yeah.
Man, I'd never gone through a divorce, so I tread lightly on giving guys any feedback on to handle that stuff. But I would say that the reoccurring theme that I see happen to a lot of guys is they continue to do husband things for a person that doesn't want them to be their husband anymore. It's the idea that if I maybe do these things harder or better, maybe it will fix things or mend the relationship. But really, all it ends up doing is it shows her that she can have the best of both worlds now. She can still get the benefits of you not being her husband and the benefits of you giving the perks of being her husband while not being her husband. And I think there is, when it comes to changing people, and you're probably experiencing this right now as you're making all these changes, there's a direct correlation with the amount of pain people experience with the amount of change that they can make in their lives. Like, it's directly correlated. The more pain you're experiencing, the more motivated you are to change. So by continuing to do these things for other people, continuing to serve them in certain ways, continuing to alleviate their problems that they now have because you're not in their life, you're taking away the pain of the experience of you not being in their life anymore. And for them to have any realizations or make any changes on their own, they have to experience that pain. They have to understand what they've lost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'm also trying to do more of the things for me, like what I want to do. I'm taking more of a stance, especially if she were to ask, hey, can you watch the dog? She wants to go do something. And it's, you know what? No, I can't. I'm doing what I want to do. And not to be mean, I'm trying to get out, do more things for myself that I want to do. So where
It's not
before,
mean,
yeah, I guess I shouldn't look at it but that's the
right?
argument I had in my mind. And because it feels wrong being selfish. And I'm that nice guy. I fall into that nice guy category 1,000%. I'm working on that shit too.
Yeah, it's not mean. It's not a dick move. We're not an asshole. Like, these are the beliefs that I've been battling for years, man. I know exactly how you feel with that stuff, right? For me, it really stems from like a mother wound for me. My mom was an extreme feminist. She had been extremely hurt by her first marriage, took away her life, her child from her, and like all kinds of craziness. And in her view, she would constantly put down men, especially men in leadership positions or men who are successful. They're always assholes. They're always bad people. So subconsciously, I just saw the behaviors that those guys were doing as asshole things, right? And a lot of times, to get to the levels of success that they were getting, you got to do things that make other people uncomfortable. You have to communicate in very direct ways sometimes, right? You have to not be afraid to rock the boat. You have to develop leadership qualities. There are all these things that I looked at from those guys that she said were bad people or assholes or jerks or whatever it is, and just intuitively decided to be anything but them. And I had to go back and have that realization and understand like why there was so much resistance in me taking care of myself instead of constantly like sacrificing and trying to please others and make sure that they are happy. This idea of if I can make them happy, then the covert contract that Jason brought up earlier, like that was one of the big ones for me. If I make you happy, you will make me happy how I want you to. But that's just not how it works. And it works the exact opposite when we do this stuff because people don't treat us how we treat them. That's just not how it works. I thought that's how it worked for a long time. I thought that's how it went. I treat you with kindness and respect and love, and then you got to treat me with that too. That's how this works. Golden rule type of stuff.
And then they just walk all over you.
That's right. Because in reality, they treat us how we allow them to treat us. They treat us how we teach them to treat us. And by letting them know that they can say these things or take advantage of our time or constantly get whatever they want from us because we think that's going to lead to us getting whatever we want from them. And then they don't have to reciprocate that because they don't know that's part of the deal, the whole thing. At the end of the day, it falls on us for sure. I don't like blaming other people for the way they treat me because in some way I've allowed it to happen. I set standards in that relationship that has led to it being this way. And if I want it to change, I got to change those standards. And like Jason said, sometimes I lost a lot of friends. I have a whole wedding party of friends that don't talk to me anymore. That's just part of this game because when you are the nice guy, when you fall into that trap, what I've learned is that people like you in that state because they can get what they want from you. And when you make that change, it's not necessarily that like you're doing something wrong, but they like that other version of you. And maybe not for a bad reason even, but they liked the old version of you. And when you become someone new, they might not like that person anymore. And that just kind of shows you that they liked you for what you did for them, not for who you were. And it's, as you go through the journey, like what you have here with Jason and this group of guys and everything that he does, finding new relationships with guys that are in the journey with you. That's been so helpful for me, man. Those three things, like that's really good what she said, what she pointed out. Like the mentor, the challenger, and the supporter. Because I see the supporter as those are the guys that are in it with me.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, like they get it because they're trying to overcome a lot of the same stuff that I'm
they're
trying to
doing
overcome.
it too. Yeah.
They're doing it too. They're the only ones that get it. You are in such a small percentage of people right now. Like what you're doing right now, being here, showing up to these calls, it's like less than 1% of people. So like, I commend you for showing up, man. I commend you for actually taking the time to do the work and make the changes and go through. I know it's painful. I know it's not easy. And it doesn't necessarily get easier either. You just continue to get better and see the fruits of the changes, which
then you get new
make
problems.
it worth it. You get new problems.
Yeah.
It's like a video game. No, you get
Get anything for new problems.
You say that.
that's right until it comes and you're like, what the heck?
It's back to that
this?
blissful ignorance.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Never even knew this could be a problem. Yeah, so I honor you for being here, man, and going through this because most guys don't have the courage or the wherewithal to do it.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Trying to get through it, man. That's all.
Yeah. You're not trying, you're
Doing it.
doing it, man. There's no try involved. You're the only one here. You're the only one that's made the decision that like I want this that bad.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Hell yeah. Harvey, I can't thank you enough for being here, man. Tell everybody where they can find you and how to get into the group.
Yeah, so if you search King's Community on all platforms or just throw it into Google, you'll see us. kings-community.net/Discord will get you to the free Discord. And we always got different trainings and offers and promotions going on. So who knows what'll be available when you guys hear this.
Yeah, definitely take it. If you guys are listening to this, take advantage of that free Discord. There's so much valuable information in there, and people are always in there talking to each other. So it's a really great place to find some additional support.
Absolutely, man.
Hell
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This was awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you.